Anyway, shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
Yay-hoo. Well, today, back in the hot seat is Alastair,
Woo.
who is a good friend of mine and somebody who teaches me so much. And I thought I'd pose a few questions that have been on my mind and that the Capiar community have asked as well.
Oh, lovely.
Number one is, what is something that fulfills you deeply?
Spending time in nature is like an essential thing that I have to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like fulfills me to almost, it seems like it's just a necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse.
Just not optional. But fulfills me deeply, like I think just connection.
Yeah.
Just connection. Just that thing. But connecting to people
Yeah.
that I love, but then just all people in my life. Like I'm one of those people that wants to go deep.
Yeah.
And wants to really kind of connect to the deep level. And like we were talking earlier before we introduced the show about like seeing people, but like that kind of thing of actually seeing people and being seen, that's really really fulfilling to me.
Excuse.
Yeah. And then like things like moving my body.
Yeah.
Like I'm still still addicted to jiu-jitsu in many ways, but like that movement, like I feel is really important.
Yeah.
And like I have those jiu-jitsu sessions where I'll leave and just be like so content.
Yeah.
Yeah. At like such a like deep level where I just feel like just so grounded and like the cup's overflowing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that for you. Do you think a man without a strong vision or purpose can live a fulfilling life?
Short answer, no. I think like purpose is massive.
Yeah.
For men.
Yeah, that's what I'm realizing.
Yeah. As men, we're the doer.
Yeah.
For women, it's more like you're the beer, you're being. But for men, we're like that. We've got such a deep internal drive to do. And for people that don't have purpose, they lose that connection to that.
Yeah.
That real deep drive that they have. And as a result, it's like it's kind of float.
Yeah.
And like purpose is so fucking massive. And it's different for different individuals, of course. And people can find it in different ways. So it might not even be, for some people, it might not even be the career path or whatever. It might be like they become a father.
Yeah.
Or they just have something that like might seem fairly mild, but as long as it is their thing, that they're like, this is my purpose here.
Yeah.
And it's like keeps us anchored.
Yeah.
And like and that drive to move forward is just like I think ingrained into us as men.
Yeah.
It's like a primal kind of thing. Still like it's a work in progress always. Redefining the purpose and like getting clearer and clearer on what the vision actually is.
Yeah.
Big part of my journey at the moment. Just trying to kind of like refine that and figure that out and see which direction I want to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, purpose is it's massive for personal fulfillment.
Yeah.
I feel. You see it with women in relationship to men.
Yeah.
And it's like when men don't have purpose, like women, they wig out.
Yeah.
There's this loss of something there. There's this loss of kind of safety or security or loss of connection or something. It's just not very attractive. I'm assuming.
No, I mean, I've never actually been with somebody who had a really strong purpose. I've been, or wasn't yet quite clear about it, I'll say. Been with guys that are like, I want to buy a house, things like that, but they've not really been at the stage where like, yeah, they are super clear. Like Gel's extremely clear with what he wants, the empire he wants to build and all that. But yeah, to me, absolutely. It seems to make all of that sense to put purpose first and then everything will flourish from there. But
exactly. And I guess with that purpose thing, it's to say it in another way. And this applies to women as well, but like what do you want to give? Like what do you want to contribute?
Yeah.
That's probably a better way to view it.
Yeah.
Especially for people that might find that they're a bit stuck with the purpose thing. It's like, well, what do I want to give? What do I want to contribute to like myself and then my immediate family and relationships and then my community at a whole. Yeah, I know that there are people out there that are happy living a life where they're not directly contributing, But for me, I think I want to contribute deeply, and that gives me purpose. And I think for a lot of people, they want that as well. There's something deep inside of us that's like
fulfillment.
Fulfillment. We want to be part of the fucking tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially as like society becomes more like fractured through, the way we communicate is becoming more online focused and whatnot. So we've lost our face-to-face kind of community connection. So it's like to have something where you're contributing towards a community, we're fulfilling that that deep drive for kind of connection and community, I guess. It's like, what am I contributing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. And how do you think we can support men to become more fully fledged versions of themselves?
Yeah, okay. When you say we, society as a whole?
Yeah, I think just in general in our day-to-day interactions and things like that. I noticed like a big theme of women kind of squashing men a lot at the moment. I think just like how can we support men to just open?
Yeah. It's like in the post Me Too world, right? There was this big groundswell of like, fuck, we got to really look at this equality thing.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately really, really awesome and so fucking necessary.
Yeah.
In that, I think that there's women that got a bit confused. They're like, to get equality, the way we got to do it is to fight back.
Yeah.
Like there was that mentality, and it was this fuck you energy.
There's a lot, eh? I was like, this isn't gonna go too far. I understand the anger.
But thousands of years of patriarchal repression, right? And then and then it gets to 2016 or whenever it was, and then it was just like, and you know what? Fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you.
So true.
But it's like, okay, cool. We've done that now.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really tapped into some power there. But it's like, okay, cool. Now we got to kind of like take a breath and think about, once again, contributing.
Yeah.
How is that energetic of fuck you
Yeah.
contributing towards men leveling up?
Yeah.
And I think that there was a short-term win there in terms of shaming men into not being patriarchal assholes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, cool. Like in the short term, a lot of men were like, oh, fuck, I better like tighten up and change my behaviors in different ways. And like, I think for a lot of men that there was a real shift in how they were showing up, and certain behaviors and things that they'd say and blah, 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 that got really kind of like tightened up, which was really good. What it has created at another level is alienation.
Yeah.
And isolation. So like there's men that feel the pushback from that fuck you energy. And it's created this like fuck you back energy.
Yeah.
And like I think with society at the moment, there's a lot of division, obviously.
Yeah.
And we see that with like the popularity of the Andrew Tates of the world.
Yeah.
Not that I know that dude or know anything really about him, just like fringely I like, and I'm like, what's the appeal here?
He's so angry, hey.
So angry, needs a hug. Yeah.
Some things that he's said, I've been like, yeah, I get where you're coming from in ways, but yeah, he does need a caress.
It is a bit of love.
Yeah.
But like, the popularity of someone like that,
Yeah.
it shows that there's this like a huge amount of men that resonate with that way of thinking, which it seems like that's backlash to the post Me Too fuck you.
Yeah.
Where men feel isolated and they feel threatened by the change in culture that's happening.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, quick, let's hold on to how it was in the fucking 40s.
Yeah.
Let's go back to like, keeping women in the kitchen. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe not the answer, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another way to do this. Men are no different in that, like, what they want is security and love.
Yeah.
The same as women.
That's beautiful.
And keeping in mind that there's like opportunities to create space for men to be more loving and to level up their emotional intelligence and really kind of just open the fuck up.
Yeah. Would you say in that security is that their safety there as well?
Yeah. So it's like, I feel, safety for men is definitely a thing. It's like women are generally speaking, like the need for safety is higher.
Yeah.
Like being the less physically dominant of the two sexes. Yeah, safety for men, it looks different. Like the physical safety thing is less of a primary thing, but safety is in needing to be part of like acceptance and community.
Yeah.
And in a way of like the one of the greatest fears that we have as men is ostracization.
Yeah, right.
Getting booted out of the tribe.
Yeah.
And it's like full chimp empire stuff.
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
once you're out, fucking good luck. No one's going to groom you. No one's going to support you to get food. No one's going to like look after you in any way. And it's like you're as good as dead.
Yeah, true, Magoo, fully.
Supporting men in their emotional intelligence and like allowing space for it. I think that one interesting thing to think about is that from my experience, there's been times where I've shown like vulnerability to women and they didn't know how to fucking hold it. Where it's like they're so used to men being a certain way that like when a man is like, you know, softens, opens up, shows vulnerability, talks about their feelings, they almost balk at it.
Yeah.
And there's this like, oh fuck, I don't know what to do with this. And it's like they'll either shut it down or run away or like whatnot. And then men will feel that rejection. And like I felt that in from most experiences I've had where I'm like, oh cool, it's actually not safe to talk about things still.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I get that.
The analogy that I give, it's in like in romantic relationships, there's this thing that women are like, I want him to open up more. This is a generalization, right?
It's true.
But like, I want him to open up more, tell me about his feelings, be more connected to his feelings, all that kind of stuff. And for a lot of men, it's like, we haven't had the practice to do that. So from where women are coming from, their experience of like talking about feelings, being emotional, all that kind of like freedom in the emotional realm, there's a lot of women that have had way more time in that realm. Whereas for us as men, like that gets squashed quite early.
Yeah.
So like we're less practiced.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the joke is like, and it comes up in clinic when women are like, oh, I want him to open up more, and he's like, I want him to talk about his feelings and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, cool, he doesn't know how. It would be like he gets home and he's broken both his hands, right? And he's like, oh, hey babe, I need you to hang the tally on the wall, right? And there's this moment of like the woman being like, oh, okay, well, okay, so like where's your toolbox and like what do I need to do? I need to find a stud or like what screws do I use? And instead of the man being like, oh, okay, cool, toolbox over there, and then we're gonna need these wall plugs, and then we're gonna do this and blah 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 and blah blah blah. The man just goes, it's just hanging a fucking TV. What's the problem? Just do it.
Yeah.
So women kind of can have that attitude towards men because we don't know.
Yeah.
So there's like, as far as supporting men to like open themselves, it's like remembering that they're not as practiced as you.
Yeah.
So there's this level of like patience that needs to be found.
Yeah.
And to be quite aware that like it's edgy for most men.
Yeah.
So like when men do open up, it's like there's that like, all right, cool, this is good. I'm gonna like support him in doing that and encourage him and make him feel safe in that.
Yeah.
However that looks for that individual, but like being quite open to the opening up that happens. He's just in kindergarten with his emotions. So I need to go slow, and I can't be like, come on, dude, you're in grade 10, like, let's go. Like, it's like, no, there's this gradual opening up and being aware of how someone is like developing emotionally, and then like allowing space for that. But like, generally speaking, women are just far more emotionally capable than men. So it's like being mindful of that and like taking your time, letting them open up slowly and let them like, and encourage them and support them and make it safe for them to do that. Because every single experience probably up until that point that woman is supporting that man, every time that they have opened up emotionally, there's been backlash in some way. There's been this
reflect so much on times where
in relationships where you're like, come on, motherfucker.
Like, just like more just being like, oh, you don't have to if you don't want to, but they're just warming up.
Yes.
And you see the vulnerability, and they're kind of just like, they want to, but they're scared. And I've been like, oh, you don't worry about it. Like, it seems like the question I've asked is just like too deep. But to me, it's just such a like a passing question.
Just like it's a Tuesday, like it's not a problem.
I think I don't even realize because I'm, I guess, in a way, an open book. sometimes. So can a man be really in touch with himself, but still kind of freak out about voicing those things?
Yeah, there's like the emotional intelligence that we develop,
Yeah.
which is just understanding your own emotional world.
Yeah.
But then there's the literacy, the emotional literacy to be able to convey that to
Yeah.
someone else. And it's like, fuck, it's edgy when you're like,
Yeah.
you're talking about something that like you've never really talked about or you're not very familiar with talking about.
Yeah.
And
Deeply personal.
yeah, and it's like, oh fuck. And once again, there's that like that thing of like every time I have opened up in the past, I've been punished either by other men or by women
Yeah.
or society in general. I put myself in this category where like I'm sensitive
Mm.
and I've been that sensitive kid
Mm.
and feel things deeply,
Yeah.
but then never had the tools to actually convey the thing to people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's been like a development for me throughout my life. For a lot of men, they might actually have capability inside of their own emotional world where they feel things and they do understand their emotions, but like bringing it out into the this outside reality.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's funny. It's cool to just like understand that because it's just really such another world.
But then like once people start doing it, they're like, oh fuck, I feel so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as long as they're like held in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
important.
excited moving forward to be better at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still like an element of like needing to push a little bit.
Yeah.
But like they're in kindergarten, don't expect them to get to where you are
Yeah.
deeper down the road in terms of emotional awareness and literacy.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, just like holding that in your mind of like, oh, cool. Like the more that I create the space for a man to open up and make it safe, the more likely he's going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite simply.
What's something that surprises you about women?
I guess stepping into more of this like healthy masculine kind of thing and how much women want that. It sounds stupid to say that it surprised me. And I guess that's like a bit of cultural stuff, like talking about the post Me Too world, where there is this like, I don't need no man kind of thing. But then there's a lot of women that like they want a strong masculine figure. Whereas like culturally there's been this thing of like, I'm independent and all this kind of stuff, but then there's like so many people that are deeply longing for that. So many women that like, especially in a romantic sense, but even just in like, you know, friendships and whatnot, there's this like wanting people to wanting men to step up into a mature, like strong masculine thing, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Not in an old school patriarchal dad from the 50s kind of way. Yeah, like way different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's been something that has been in my mind the last few years of like, oh, interesting. Like I didn't realize how deeply important it is for women.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like it's only really since I've been doing work on myself around that where I'm stepping into that more and more that I see the changes.
Yeah.
Where I see how much I can be this like mature masculine figure and how much that helps the women around me, like my partner, like Rihanna, and then like friends like yourself. And there's these things that happen when I am more in that role and women respond.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so healing.
yeah, it's healing. And women feel safe. And then it's like, when that safety's there, well, then it's like fucking anything can happen.
Fucking honest.
Yeah, things can open up and change, and yeah, relationships can transform in such a positive way. But yeah, it's been a journey for myself figuring that out, and I'm still fucking figuring it out.
True, Magoo. What's something you think women misunderstand about men?
For me as a man, I cannot change my state of being as fluidly as what a woman can. You come home from the markets, right? And you got your like bags of veggies and you walk into the kitchen, you're unloading the fridge and you're fully in the fucking kitchen, right? I go and do that. I'm still in the market or I'm still in the car and it takes me a little bit to land into the kitchen. For men, we don't change our states of being as fluidly as what women do, whereas you guys are just like, you're just turning up in the situation in a certain state of being. And for us as men, we struggle to do that as easily, which is why for men, ritual is really important. For me, shifting states of being, having a ritual to do that can be really, really beneficial. There's a level of ritual that I have when I get home from work, right? Rihanna and I like joke. Rihanna calls it transition time.
Yeah.
So basically, like I'll get home from work and if she's in the house, I'll go and greet her and like give her a kiss and whatnot. But then I'll fuck off for 5 minutes and like get out of my work clothes, chuck on some trackies, and have an actual physical change, which is part of the ritual.
Yeah.
And then like do whatever I need to do to like to really kind of ground into the space where I've like gone from work mode, right? Where I'm more in this like doing action kind of focus, and a lot of my attention is like really drilled in and focused into that state of being. It's interesting because women don't really see that there's this like need for that, and they'll see like that example of like the man coming home
Yeah.
and then doing something and she just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And she's like fucks off to the room for a bit, or he like sits on the couch for 5 minutes and like does fucking nothing. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, there's like he's shifting states of being, there's a transition that happens. But like for us as men, there's like that's really, really important. And I'm figuring it out more and more and understanding it more and more.
Yeah.
Where we like, it's really, really important for us to kind of like drop what we were doing in the outside world to kind of be present here. There needs to be a shift and a transition.
So cute.
Yeah.
Put a little bow on that. Start the new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
But that's beautiful though. It means you're present and fully mindful with the task at hand. I noticed that a lot with Gel as well.
Yeah.
He's always just shocked at how swiftly we can move into the next thing. He's just like, but I'm still at this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always surprised.
Yeah, he's like, you're over there now doing that. Fuck.
Yeah. Which is so funny. I'm like, I can't imagine any other way.
Yep.
But that's cool. More room for grace when you realize that as well.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I think for women, just like clocking that it's happening and just being aware of it, and then like just allowing a little bit of space for that to kind of like transpire, so that like the man then can really shift into, say the home from work.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh cool, then they can be with you, then they can be present once they're back into home mode.
Yeah.
And out of work mode, but there's like a little dance that has to happen before that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that some women will see that and get a bit frustrated that the man isn't like completely present with the woman when they like pop into the home, and it's like, yeah, because we're different.
Do you find living from the heart to be a daunting process at times?
That's a good question. Yes and no. Like ultimately, it's the easiest thing to do, but it's also really, really fucking hard at times. There is levels of being really daunted. There's a level of fear there that there's going to be rejection and pain.
Yeah.
That there'll be criticism. Being a like really open, loving person, you can get wounded if someone rejects that. So it's like, it's daunting. It's really daunting. But it's a practice, and it's a thing that like is worthwhile. It just brings so much more to your life. Once you start doing it, you can't look back.
Yeah. So funny. I feel like I've only started like 2 weeks ago, but I feel like I started a long time ago, but I feel like something really clicked.
Because we have been conditioned by experiences where that's been shut down, or like we've been hurt by doing that. This like Buddhist master that was at the end of life, this master's disciples are around him and being like, what's the like, give us that last nugget before you go. And he said, no matter how many times your heart tries to close, keep it open.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like it's constantly being challenged.
Yeah.
Like our capacity to love is being challenged all the time by everything. Keep showing up, keep opening, keep trying to be as loving as you can be. Because that's where like the fruits are. Yeah. But it's not easy sometimes.
No. Tricky. No, I do notice that in a monologue as well, after doing something really hard opening and maybe getting rejected or whatever, and then being like, fuck it, I'm closing up shop, like closing the heart, and then I'll just be like, I know this is when you're meant to open up, so it's funny, and then just being like, back to love.
When I moved up here from Melbourne, so like I met Rihanna a year before, and we did long distance for a year.
Mood.
Like, things just queued up where it was like, it's time for me to take the risk and move up here.
Yeah.
And throughout that time, life was fucking chaos as I was like winding down like my life in Melbourne. Yeah. And like about to make this leap to move up here, and it was just absolute fucking chaos. And I had this mantra running through my brain at that time, which was to choose love. Yes. So it was like any decision that I came across, it was like, fuck, I don't know what to do, just choose love. Yeah. And it's like, what's the most loving thing to do in this situation?
Mm.
And it was, you know, like moving up here, that was a big one, choosing love in that way, like choosing love to be with Rihanna. But then also like just the most minuscule fucking choice points of like interaction with another human being. Even if you just at the fucking shops and give someone a smile. At that time, I was like, I'd just be like, bring it back to that. Choose love.
Yeah.
Choose love.
Yeah.
And it's like something that like I need to remind myself of.
Yeah.
Even now. But there'll be those choice points of like, oh fuck, did I choose love there?
Yeah.
Fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Show up better next time.
Yeah.
Do it differently next time.
Yeah.
Because it's like what will it bring, but like not just to you.
Not just the self, yeah.
Yeah. To like the whole world and community and whatnot.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say with that is like obviously like choosing love, there still needs to be personal boundaries in there, and there still needs to be like all that kind of stuff, and yeah, you can love the fuck out of someone and put boundaries in, and you can like love the fuck out of someone and tell them like
this is how it is.
This is how it is.
Yeah, excuse.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't realize as well. I've gaslit myself so many times with that. Like saying the hard thing that needs to be said.
Yeah.
And then feeling so much guilt afterwards, which is tricky. And then that's when that coming back to love to self really helps.
And sometimes saying the hard thing is the most loving thing you can do in the situation.
Yeah.
Like there's that conversation that needs to be had with someone. There's that like person that needs to hear that thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if it does like risk a relationship.
Yeah.
Like if someone's not ready to hear it or whatever, or like they're stuck in victim mode or whatever the fuck. But it's like, cool, I'm doing this from a place of love.
Yeah.
Not from a place of like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like it's a genuine place of like, oh, I'm reading you the fucking riot act right now.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love you and because I want what's best for you and the whole thing, rather than being like, oh, I better not hurt this person's feelings.
Yeah.
And like sacrifice yourself, or you say the thing and then you're like, oh fuck, I hurt them and like they didn't like that and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I was choosing love. It's all good.
But a lot of the time they don't understand. Like I feel like I can see it in their eyes where they're just like glazing over, and with guys when I'm communicating, they're just like, what? What do you mean?
When you're sharing what in particular?
When I'm sharing just like observations on them, because I've done the same thing fucking so many times and they can't really see that what they're doing is something that is actually a little bit toxo.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a tricky one because there's a level of accountability that you're trying to hold a fella to. And that's very fucking uncomfortable to hear. No one wants to hear it. So it's like, how do you say it in a way that's more loving?
I should not have said it like that. Yeah, right. I could have done a way better job. That's definitely something I look back on and go, yeah.
But the other thing too is to be like really mindful of when that message is being delivered, that thing of like connection before correction. Like when that message is being delivered, just like being in like genuine connection with someone.
Yeah.
And then being like, you're copping out, but like I'm still here and I still love you. I'm here for you, but like this is the reality.
Yeah.
It's almost more intimidating, but like in a healthier way.
Yeah.
It's more intimidating to receive because there's this like unwavering someone showing up for you, and like there's nowhere to really run.
Yeah.
If someone is like connected to you and they say it in a loving way, and it's just like, oh fuck, I can't hide here. All my fucking excuses are out the window.
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh fuck you, because you're just so loving and connected with it. It's like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I am copping out.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's moving forward. I'm excited to be more like that. I was just frustrated too.
I'm 100% guilty of being very frustrating to multiple women in my life. Like hard out, like not hearing the thing that is being said in all the different ways.
Yeah.
But it's just maturity.
Yeah.
Like and maturity in a sense of like, for me as a man, maturity being the more mature I am, it's not like how old I am or like the way I behave. It's like how well I know myself.
Yeah.
That's what maturity is. And like the more that I can know myself, if someone calls me out for being unaccountable or calling out or something, then it's like I can really kind of check into that and be like, oh, fuck, are they right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Is it mine? Is it yours? Like, does this stick?
Yeah.
Because you can always, either you find or it's just fucking way off.
Yeah.
But that's cool. The maturity piece.
I
like that. Really like that.
It's a journey.
That's the journey.
Stepping into maturity.
Yeah. Do you see love as a choice or a feeling?
Fuck. Okay. Well, it's kind of both, hey. The love that you get that it just fucking hits you. Whether or not it's like you're falling in love with another human being, or just like when you fucking meet a puppy, like a little baby kitten or something, and you're like, oh my God, that love just like fucking blasted me in the heart. And I'm like, I couldn't fucking defend against that if I tried.
Yeah.
And you see that with like, the fucking staunch bitch or like the grumpy old cunt. And then like the dog runs past and
Yeah.
like melts them.
Yeah.
And like we all have that thing in those moments of
Yeah.
like where something just like
Yeah.
gets you, unlocks you. It's like the arrows fired really, really cleanly and just hits you. So there's that aspect, but then that's like also as far as choice, it's like how are you showing up to love? How am I choosing love?
Yeah.
Every opportunity there is a choice, and then it's exactly the same as the puppy because you've chosen it. The puppy is just like the fucking assassin that just gets in there and you can't help but just like explode with love.
Just like the granny and grandpa having an ice cream.
Holding
They're holding
hands and just like being adorable.
Yeah. Does great pressure come from having that provider role for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my eyes, it's this deep primal desire, right? Where it's like hardwired into our DNA.
Yeah.
It's not really like a cognitive like thought.
Yeah.
It's more of a like embedded feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do provide, we stand up straighter and we're like chest is out a bit more. There's this like physiological change that we feel in our body when that happens, as well as in our psyche and whatnot. Providership, probably not a word, but desire to provide, it's changed so much.
Yeah.
Being the hunter-gatherer and going off and like killing the animal and dragging it back to the camp and like providing that way. It's like, oh, cool, that was pretty fucking black and white. Use that example. The 50s male, right? The 50s dad, where it's like, oh, I go to work and I bring home the bacon, you know? And it's like, oh, you're providing then.
Yeah.
And now it's like things that culture's shifted so much. Women can earn as much as men.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm no longer the financial provider. And then it's like, cool, what does providing look like for that individual or that like those two individuals that are interrelating in that way? Many different facets, whether or not it's like that financial thing or the physical safety and security thing, but it can also be like providing in an emotional way, being aware and attentive to what someone else needs, because it's like it's not clearly defined. So you say providing and people are like, what, like I'm meant to make all the money and like, or I'm meant to like, what the fuck is
What's
it?
the role?
Yeah, what's the role? How do I do it? Yeah, it's figuring that out for ourselves. Like in a heteroromantic relationship, there's these like gender roles that are kind of at play as well, and like there is this pressure to be this providing kind of figure as the man. That can be immense.
I can see it. It's a big job.
Big job.
Because then I look at myself where I sit back and eat the grapes. That's my role. I just get to be. No.
Fuck, it's a lot of pressure. It's about me stepping into leadership, basically like working on my shit.
Yes.
To allow me to do that in a good way. Fucking dealing with my insecurities, dealing with fucking previous traumas and like and failures and all that kind of stuff, and really working on that so that I can kind of show up as best as I can as the provider. And then on the other side of the coin, it's like there's massive fulfillment in doing it.
Yeah.
There's massive fulfillment in being the provider. So it's like, fuck, it's a bit hard, but it's also really worth it.
Cool. That's what I assumed.
There's some days where you're like, fuck.
We've touched before on the 20s being the penetrate the world type years and the 30s being the build the empire type years. Was this a big and sudden shift or realization for you, or a gradual process?
Super gradual.
Yeah.
It's
all graduate with you always.
Definitely moments of like those little epiphany moments of being like, oh, just shifted gears. Yeah, those 20 years of like off exploring, like for me, travel was massive. Travel and then like, learning, leveling myself up in terms of like, work, academically, all that kind of shit. A level of exploration into the world in terms of like partying, in terms of women, different experiences and friendships. It's basically, you're just fucking collecting experiences.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. And that's kind of the mindset for me. Looking back on it, for me, it was just like, what's next?
Yeah.
That was cool. Oh, cool. That was cool. I'd do that again for sure. But like, what's the next thing? try bungee jumping, let's go
Yeah.
fucking do this and that. And like, and there's this real hunger
Yeah.
for that.
Cool.
And like the same with like exploring different women and whatnot from like, you know, physical, sexual ways, but also like from like just getting to know humans.
Yeah.
And there's this constant drive to be like, what's next? What's next? What's
Yeah.
next?
I see it.
Yeah, the gradual shift where like that becomes lesser over time. And it's like I've satiated a lot of those things. But like, don't get me wrong, there was plenty of like, am I really ready to fucking put that down?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh God.
I feel a little bit of that too. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, there was definitely moments of that, like where especially like looking back on my single days and like once again exploring different women, knowing that that wasn't going to satisfy me for too much longer.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was winding down and I could
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah.
Whereas and like and being aware within myself that like if I hang on to this for too long, there's a risk that I become the creepy old dude.
Yeah.
The burly pav.
Yeah. We know the one.
We know the dude. But being aware that that was closing for me, it was less satisfying and I was getting less fulfillment out of it.
It's a natural thing.
Yeah. But then it's like once that starts to like diminish, well then there's this other thing that's awakening of like, oh, it's like building the castle.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, cool, what's my empire going to look like? And the purpose thing, that's where that kind of comes online a bit more. So, like, in the 20s, there's probably less of that purpose thing, less focus on it because it was like, there's no time.
Yeah.
I've got to go and fucking do shit.
Yeah. Say some shit.
Yeah. Experience some shit. There's probably those pivotal moments for me where I did look at what older people had created.
Yeah.
Like older men that have an empire.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm not fucking anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, cool, shift gears and start moving towards the next stage.
Yeah.
As I like step more and more into that stage, then I get really, really satisfied by it in the same way that in my 20s, I was really, really satisfied by just exploring.
Cool.
It's a journey though.
I can imagine. It's so different. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's such a different process.
Such a different process.
Sounds fun.
I see that a bit with men that haven't really found the purpose thing and like the exploration dies down. There's less of that desire to go out and explore the world. And then there's this stagnancy that happens because they haven't picked up the purpose and the building of the empire. It's just been like, oh, I just go through the motions and I go to work and I do the thing and like whatever goals it is aren't really fulfilling for that person. Yeah, there's definitely men that I see that haven't picked that up and really run with it. There is a level of responsibility to be like, I've got to really kind of take the bull by the horns a bit.
Yeah. Get out.
Yeah, instead of just like letting life happen to you.
Yeah. What's a lesson you feel you had to learn a few times over? Something that kind of took a little while to stick.
Type of person I was attracting.
Yes.
Throughout my 20s and even my teenage years. It's like I found myself attracting the same type of woman, which was the woman that was damaged that I would fix.
Yes.
The bird with the broken wing. Like I became more aware of that and like really worked on that, but it was like this constant, sometimes those lessons that you need to learn 1,000 times.
Yeah.
They can be these deep, like, parts of ourselves from like our upbringing and whatnot. And the attracting the bird with the broken wing, attracting like that, the woman that I was gonna like care for and fix up.
Yeah.
It became a like it came from aspects of my childhood and whatnot. And nowadays I've got this like a better than ever understanding of it, but it still does play out.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing with it is there's two sides to it and that it can be pathological where I'm like making decisions based on like that savior complex, right?
Yeah.
Where like it becomes pathological and it becomes very unhealthy. But then the other side of it is that like what it has given me through that deep psychological patterning that I've got is an empathetic understanding of people. So it's almost like, oh, cool, it's a giant crutch in one way.
Yeah.
But then it's also a low-key superpower in another way.
Fucking oath. Yeah.
And it's like it comes from the same place.
Yeah.
But like I had to really learn that thing again and again and again and again. And it's like with those things that I do learn multiple times, the way I kind of view them is it comes around again and again and again, but it's almost like the spiral where it's like every time that it comes round, there's a little bit less charge.
Yeah.
A little bit less charge as we go down the spiral. And it's like that little bit further away every single time. It's still there. It'll still pop up, but every time it does, I'm like, okay, this again, it's not as painful this time. It's not as fucking massive this time.
Yeah.
It doesn't consume me as much this time. After a little while, you're just like, sweet, this thing again. And it's not like, oh, fuck.
Does it just not happen one day when you learn the lesson, or it just keeps happening and then you just like...
It keeps happening, but then you get into better relationship with it.
Yeah.
So it's not that it ever disappears.
Yeah.
The way that I view it or the way that I show up to it is totally different. So I have a different relationship with those old patterns. As I encounter it for the 400th time, I'm just like, oh, you again.
Yeah.
Whereas when it was like number 5,
Yeah.
it was like fucking rattling.
Yeah. Sure.
And I was like, deeply affected by it. As it comes up, it's like, after multiple iterations, it's just like, oh, you again, what do you want?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, oh, cool, I'm in better relationship with this part of myself.
Yeah.
Better relationship with that old pattern that has tripped me up before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right,
like,
that makes so much sense.
I've probably said this to you, but the Ram Dass line, which was never in all my years of psychotherapy, psychedelic use, or spiritual practice did any one neurosis ever go away. They just changed from what was these giant hulking monsters into these cute little schnookums. So it's like then they become schnookums instead of like, they're just like, come on in.
Friend the schnookums.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming on. That was a delight.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Love to ramble.